All right, we're going to actually try to factor some of these now. And I'm going to keep these rules in mind while we do this. So we're going to look at this first example. And the first example says x squared plus 20x plus 100. Anytime I ask you to factor a trinomial like this, I want you to start out by writing two parentheses, because factoring means you're going to make it a product of factors. You need two things being multiplied together. All right, now my first rule is the first term comes from multiplying the first term of the factors. So the first term, x squared, needs to come from multiplying these two together, these first terms. What makes x squared? X times x. Okay? My next rule is the last term comes from multiplying the last terms of the factors. So 100 comes from whatever I get from multiplying those two. So what are the factors of 100? You could try 100, you could try 2 and 50, you could try 4 and 25, you could try 5 and 20, and you could try 10 and 10, right? So it's probably a good idea to write those out. And you're going to have to try a couple things. The first few days that you're learning factoring, you might have to try a few options, and that's okay. And before we even try any options, real quick, let's get to our last rule here. The sign of the last term tells us if it's going to be positive, if our factors are going to be positive or negative or both. So the sign of our last term is positive, meaning that the signs and the factors match. Either they're both positive or they're both negative. Well, so they're either both going to be positive or they're both going to be negative. You can try and guess and check, right? I think a good strategy is if this is positive and this is positive, then both of the factors will be positive and not negative. Okay, so we're going to leave that there. Okay, so now here comes the guessing and checking. Let's try first, 5 and 20. Okay, if we put 5 and 20 in here, that'll work. So let's just double check. The greens, x times x makes x squared, right? And the pinks, 5 times 20 makes 100. But we have to check that middle term. And the middle term is made by multiplying both pairs of first and last terms, then adding. So this is what I'd like you guys to do. Make kind of like a smiley face, okay? So multiply that last and first term. So 5 times x is 5x. And then multiply this first and last term. 20 times x is 20x. See how it kind of makes a smile? Then you're going to add these together, and you get 25x. You're going to check, does this match that? And it does not. So we know that does not work. Actually, we can leave it here. And this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to just kind of make it really small and put it off to the side. And that way I know, like, okay, you checked a few things. I just kind of want to see, like, where you're at, how fast you're getting these, right? So let's put back our x's. We're going to try something else. So we tried 5 and 20, right? Let's try 10 and 10, okay? So if we try 10 and 10, let's check it. So if I check my answer, 10 times x is 10x. X times 10 is 10x. And if I add those together, then I get 20x. And does that match? Yes, it does, right? So now that every single rule has been followed, check, 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 check. All right, and that means that is then my answer. So this right here is how you factor that given polynomial, x plus 10 times x plus 10. All right, let's try another example. Let's try number 2. So let's follow first term times first term. So our first terms have to multiply to 2x. Well, what multiplies to 2x? 2x and x multiplies to 2x. Our last terms have to multiply to 15. So our options are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. You could pick whatever one you want to start with, but before we do that, let's look at our sign of the last term. Because the last term is positive, that means they're going to match, and they're either both going to be positive or they're both going to be negative. I'm thinking because this is negative that we're going to try to go with both of them negative. Let's see if it works. All right, and if it doesn't work, then we'll try with both positive, but let's try that first. So let's fill in. Let's try 3 and 5. Okay. We'll try this first. So let's put that here, 3 and 5. Okay. And when we go to check, let's see. We'll put 3x. I'm sorry, that's negative 3x, right? Negative 3 times x, and then 2x times negative 5 is negative 10x, and that makes negative 13x, which does not match, right? So that one does not work. So rather than trying 1 and 15 right away, this is what I would do. I would just switch these, because you might get a different answer, okay? You might get a different answer because, you know, we'll multiply different things. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. And you add those together, you get negative 11x. Does that match my middle term? Yes, it does. So that means that this right here is how you factor that polynomial. All right? Let's try another one. We'll keep going. Let's try number 4. We're going to skip number 3. We're going to go to number 4. So again, if I need to factor, I'm going to put my parentheses in. And my first rule is my first term comes from multiplying the first term of the factor. So first times first makes first. What times what makes x squared? X times x, right? My second rule has to do with the last term. But before we get to that, let's talk about this, the sign of the last term. Our last term here is negative. And according to this, if my last term is negative, that means my factors, the signs are not going to match. So one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. Okay? So now let's list out my factors of 99 because remember, my last term and my last term multiplied together have to equal my last term of my polynomial. So my factors of 99 are 1, 99, 11 and 9, 3 and 33. I think that's about it that I can think of right now. So let's try 11 and 9. Okay? So if I put that in here, and now all that works, right? First times first makes first. Last times last makes last. I just have to check first this middle term. Okay? Does this middle term work? So when we multiply this, what's positive 9 times x? 9x. Let's multiply this pair. Negative 11 times x is negative 11x. And when we add these together, 9 plus negative 11 is negative 2x. Is that exactly what we need? No, but it's close. Okay? So once you have something that's the same number, wrong sign, instead of retrying everything again, all you have to do is just flip the signs and try that. So let's flip the signs. Let's just double check. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. X times 11 is positive 11x. Add those together. Now we have positive 2x. Does that match? Yes, it does. So that means this right here is our answer to factor. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little enough to work off of. And I'd like you to try number 3. So pause it really quick, and I'll put the factors for number 3 up. And it should look like this, okay? And I'd also like you to try number 5. So pause really quick, try number 5, see what you can get, and it should look like this. All right, so try those two on your own, then you can start your homework. Good luck.